Basın mensubu arkadaşlarımızı artık
Distinguished members of the press, please be seated. That's the end of the photo taking.
çok teşekkür ediyoruz değerli basın mensupları.
Thank you very much.
Sayın Bakanım,
Distinguished Minister, distinguished guest ministers, distinguished guests and members of the press, Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources of the Turkish Republic under the auspices IWPC and GİVEK, and at the same time Turkish Wind Energy Association TWEA have jointly organizing the Intercontinental Wind Power Congress. I first of all would like to welcome you all. Very distinguished guests, in a few minutes we actually will start with the opening speeches. But before that, the Ministry of Culture, Directorate General of Fine Arts, the folk dance group will be having a performance, and right after that we will have some surprises pretty much conforming with the theme of our Congress.
Güzel Sanatlar Genel Müdürlüğü Halk Dans
We would like to thank to our kids at the same time. Here you can see the surprise. The wind energy is actually the future of our children. So thank you very much for these nice gifts from the future. They are our future. And please do accept these gifts from our children because they're just giving us another form of energy, I should say. Thank you very much.
Çok teşekkürler.
Thank you very much for these nice gifts. Once again, thank you very much. Distinguished Minister, distinguished guest ministers, and distinguished participants and members of the press and the media. Actually, the Intercontinental Wind Power Congress will continue with the opening addresses of our distinguished guests. We wish for a fruitful and at the same time a very nice one. I first of all would like to invite for the opening remarks Mustafa Serdar Ataseven, the chairman of the Turkish Wind Energy Association. The floor is yours.
Sayın Bilim, Sanayi ve
Distinguished Minister of Industrial Science and Technology, Distinguished Minister of Environment and Natural Resources of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Distinguished Minister of Energy and Natural Resources of Jordan, Distinguished Chairman of Energy Market Regulatory Authority, Distinguished Chairman of the Global Wind Energy Council, and Distinguished Chairman of the European Wind Energy Association, distinguished board members, and also to the board members of IWPC and IWPC, distinguished director generals from different public institutions and organizations, distinguished ambassadors and distinguished commercial attaches, distinguished bureaucrats from Germany, Ukraine, Spain, Korea, France, UK, Poland, South Africa, Jordan, Tunisia, Macedonia, Japan, Italy, Greece, and Algeria. Distinguished chairmen and representatives of the Wind Power Association of all these countries, distinguished stakeholders, distinguished investors and our sponsors, distinguished members of the press and the media, and ladies and gentlemen. I first of all would like to express my gratitude to each and every one of you on behalf of myself and at the same time on behalf of the Turkish Wind Energy Association. Distinguished Minister, distinguished participants, first of all, actually I need an applaud from each and every one of you. You know why? In Ankara, Izmir and Istanbul, as you all know, now we are suffering from a blackout, and only to 15% of Ankara and Istanbul we can provide electricity. And trust me, the people here worked really so hard so as to make this event possible at the highest quality possible. And I would like to thank to all our colleagues in the organization company and to everyone. Please do applaud them for their best efforts, please. But really, please applaud them strongly. Thank you. Now, under the auspices of the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources of Turkey, and also together with GVAC and IWEA, we are organizing this Intercontinental Wind Power Congress. You have actually honored us. You know, we're hosting you in Istanbul, one of the world capitals. We are more than happy to see you here. You know, we're just at the meeting point of Europe and Asia, and thanks to the economic breakthrough, Istanbul has turned out to be a business and a finance center. Well, to speak frankly, I should say I'm just more than happy that we have such a huge interest to our event. And I hope that, especially for 2017 and at the same time for the upcoming Intercontinental Wind Power Congresses, I wish we all will continue to be together. Distinguished guests, as you all know, there's just one common thing that is combining and all other industries, that is energy. It doesn't matter what you're doing as a business, it is not possible to continue without energy, and this is actually quite a good example what we are experiencing today, because energy is actually the key point. There is an increase in the energy demand, and responding to this demand, I should say, is extremely important and an issue not only for our country but for the rest of the world. That's the reason why renewable energy is actually an exit point for all countries. And among renewable energy, wind, I should say, actually is very important, and there are considerable advancements in all several countries. Now we are just speaking about the wind energy here in this event, and it is not only important for the present time but also for the future generations. According to JBAC data, once in every 30 minutes in the world, there is one wind turbine being erected. It means that actually once in every 30 minutes, we are actually investing. Once in every 30 minutes, we invest to clean energy, to cost-effective energy, to an efficient energy that is infinite, and at the same time that is providing solution. That's what we're doing. This is something that we actually attach a lot of importance to. Of course, each and every event that will promote wind energy is something very important, wind power, and I believe at the same time wind power continues to grow also in our country. For example, 9 years ago it was around 20-30 megawatts, but now it is over 4,000 megawatts, and our installed capacity. And as you all know, we have 2023 target, that is 20,000 megawatts. This is also mentioned by our Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. We actually continue to pursue this goal and target. And within 2014, Turkey actually had 804 megawatts, and ranking among the first 5 in Europe and among the first 10 in the world. We have a long way to go, of course, but we have very clear-cut targets and goals, and we are determined. And I know that wind industry will actually go out of this hole with stronger messages, and we'll have the chance to find some global solutions to the global problems, and this is the reason why we are here. And at the same time, Ömer Faruk Özgür, one of the members of TWA, and he said something, and I wanted to share it here with you. There are borders of the countries, and people are divided from each other with borders, but wind does not have any border. I mean, it does not recognize any borders. Let's be together and open up to the new horizons with the power of the wind. Distinguished participants, of course, the aim of this event is to have exchange of information and to contribute to the development of the wind power worldwide. The goal of this activity and the event is at the same time to reduce the carbon dioxide emission, and at the same time to help also help people understand how important climate change is and how wind power will contribute to this. And this event is at the same time, the goal is to raise the awareness, saying that wind power is the future of our children. Our main goal in here is to consult each other, to unite our forces, and at the same time to improve our industry. We should think big. As the Turkish philosopher Yunus Emre said, let's come together, let's be friends, and let's make things easier. And before I conclude my words, actually in Istanbul, you know, here's a congress that we are bringing the continents together. I would like to thank to all the stakeholders who make this possible, first of all. And I also wish for the success of this congress, and I would like to extend my gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you very much to the chairman of Turkish Wind Energy Association, Mustafa Serdar Ataseven. Meanwhile, we also have a couple of guests who cannot attend the event. They are telegram messages. I've received your nice invitation, and I may not be possibly attend the event, and because of my heavy schedule, I'm extending my best gratitude Kadir Topbaş, the mayor of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality. Thank you very much for this message. Distinguished guests, now the chairman of the European Wind Energy Association, Markus Take, please. I would like to invite him to the floor.
And deliver your speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in Istanbul. And I was deeply impressed, I have to say, by the Turkish folk performance. That was energy and precision, and this is what the wind industry is all about. So thank you for having here. On behalf of the European Wind Energy Association, I extend my warm greetings and welcome to the people here. And particularly warm greetings to representatives of the Turkish government here at this Congress. Your leadership on renewable energy has set a pace for the country. The energy demand is rising in Turkey, we all know that. And Turkey is one of the largest economies in Europe and in the world. So this is a very important topic because energy determines productivity of a country. And the first National Renewable Energy Action Plan you have set forward gives the direction for the industry, for the wind industry here in Turkey. So our industry very well supports what you have done. We will work closely together with you to make your plans happen. And be sure it's not only for the industry, it's also for the small kids that have given us the small wind turbines right now. This is for the future, what this industry is doing. So let's have a quick look at the Congress here. I think the Congress is taking place in the right time, at a very right location, and we have a number of topics to discuss. Let me start with the location. Istanbul always has been at the crossroads between peoples and countries. What better place can you have? And in the wind industry, Turkey is not only taking a leadership in the region, it can also take the leadership for the entire region in the energy transition. North Africa, the broader Middle East, Central Asia, all those areas look for renewable energy, look for wind energy. And Turkey has set that pace already years ago. So this is an opportunity for Turkey. It's an opportunity for Turkey to shape the energy mix of the larger region. I said timing is important. Yes, timing it is important. Let me explain why. The wind industry has, in the last years, seen a number of successes. The growth in the wind industry is significant and it's good. However, we face a rapidly changing landscape. And we have some rather unpredictable factors that impact our industry. Rapidly changing energy prices. Who could predict the change in the oil price? What is the impact on our industry? Geopolitical developments. We all know what we hear every day in the news. Just an example, shale gas boom. New energy sources are being available. And the fluctuating regulatory environment. All this has an impact on the industry, and it is the discussion we need to have right now to understand those topics and see the impact on our industry. We are a young industry. The wind industry is a young industry. It has the feeling of a startup industry. So we have all the creative power, we have all the means in our industry to make things happen, to act to those changes and those environments. Let's use the brains we have in our industry to move forward. And certainly there's a number of topics. Certainly wind is always about levelized cost of electricity. We all know that the wind industry has one common goal, and there we all unite. Even competitors, we are competitors in some sense, but there we all unite. We need to bring the levelized cost of electricity for wind down. But let's not talk on this topic now. There are other topics we need to look at. Quite natural, wind is the most affordable renewable energy. It's the most affordable green energy. Let's not forget that, to green up the planet for the future. And wind provides energy security. Last week in Berlin, there was the energy transition dialogue. Many countries all around the world participated to see how can an energy transition going into renewables be managed. And I was surprised how important the energy security topic was coming in this Congress. Very important topic. And as has been mentioned before, wind power helps countries to become independent. Whether it is in the US, Eastern Europe, or in the Middle East, energy independence is an issue of growing importance. And let's make sure decision makers understand, including the political leaders, the importance of having control of a country's energy politics and energy sources. I touched already the topic unity. We need to stand together as an industry with the common goal to drive further the message of the wind industry being the most affordable renewable energy, creating energy security. When it comes to reducing cost, reducing advocacy, regulatory issues, standards, and sharing best practice, the wind industry will stand together to make those things happen. If we do so, all win-win. And gatherings like this are very important to unite the wind industry to see what we can do together to move the industry further. Looking forward, I see exciting days of discussions, sharing opinions, and seeing what the future can bring us. I encourage all of you to use those days here in Istanbul for fruitful dialogue. So let me conclude. First, I'm very optimistic about the wind industry, as wind energy is the most affordable, renewable energy that provides energy security. I have to repeat that over and over again. Onshore is at grid parity and to a large extent in good locations already below new build gas power generation. So here the industry made their promises true. I also believe offshore will continue to grow. And important is we need to do this together. And I'm convinced the wind industry will stand together to make the wind industry the most affordable renewable energy. Thank you very much.
Avrupa Rüzgar Enerji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Markus Tacker. As the chairman of the European Wind Energy Association, by the way, from the Parliament Environment and Energy Commission, Mr. Chairman also thanks us for the invitation and wishes for the success of the Congress, which he thinks that will be contributing to the environment and the power needs of our country and the region. Would like to express my deepest regards to all the participants, says Mr. Kaya. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite to the floor the chairman of the Global Wind Energy Council, Dr. Klaus Rave, for his opening remarks, please.
The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Good afternoon to you, dear ministers, distinguished guests, dear colleagues and friends of the wind energy industry. The Global Wind Energy Council is happy to be partner to this important event that for the first time takes place in the beautiful city, the thriving city and capital of commerce of Turkey, in Istanbul. The Global Wind Energy Council, as the association of all the associations, with our Turkish members as a driving force, as an association that has a global outreach and is active in many countries, likes to congratulate you to have taken the initiative to hold a conference and exhibition in this spring in your beautiful city of Istanbul. Last year, the year 2014, has seen an unprecedented growth for the wind energy industry of more than 51,000 megawatts of newly installed capacity, with activities in more than 80 countries on this planet, and 24 of those countries have an installed capacity of more than 1,000 megawatts, so wind is not only a marginal source of electricity generation. But for this conference and for this afternoon, I only have one message to you, and that message is get connected. Get connected, because this is what the city of Istanbul and Turkey stand for: connecting the continents, bridging the continents, Asia and Europe. Getting connected, this is what the conference is for. Making people exchange ideas, making people get to know each other, making people aware how diverse the industry is, where we have project developers, financiers, engineers and technicians, wind turbine manufacturers, components manufacturers, government regulators, grid operators, all are part of an ever-increasing and ever larger industry, and all are an essential part of that. They need to connect in order to make this success continue and sustainable. And we have an exhibition where you can connect, where you can see that the technology we talk about today is a different one from the early days when I started to think about the perspectives of wind energy in the first time. I was brought up in an environment where we talked about 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt turbines, and today we talk about turbines the size of 2 megawatts, 3 megawatts, 5 megawatts, and even larger than that. We've seen these technologies develop. We've seen prices coming down. We've seen numbers going up. And this all due to the effect that the industry has closely cooperated because it was so well connected globally at a very early stage. And let's talk about the technology getting connected to the grid. The better the connection to the grid, the more stability we will have. The larger the grid, the more we can use, the better we can use the resource. The more intelligent the grid gets, the better we can make use of the wind resource that is so abundantly available to all of us. So talk to the grid operators, make them connect the turbines, and allow them to connect the turbines to the electricity markets of the future, because it is electricity that is the energy source of the 21st century. There is no communication without electrification, and all your mobile phones, all your smartphones, all your iPads, all your computers would not work. And how could any one of you envisage to be with that, without that sort of connection? So let's get connected. I must congratulate you, finally, the Turkish government on setting so ambitious targets for the industry, and setting these targets and timing the fulfillment of these targets so properly with the year 2023, the 100th anniversary of the Turkish Republic. I hope I will be invited to come back to some event in the year 2023, and I hope by that time wind energy will be the new Turkish delight that you're giving to the world. Thank you very much.
Küresel rüzgar enerjisi
I would like to thank Dr. Klaus Rave as the chairman of the GUVEC, and the next speaker, if I may, would be the Congress chairman of the Intercontinental Wind Power Congress, Associated Professor Murat Mercan. Mr. Mercan, please.
Bilim, Sanayi ve Teknoloji.
His Excellency, Mr. Minister of Science and Technology, His Excellency Mr. Minister of Jordan, and His Excellency Mr. Minister of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, distinguished guests who have traveled from all the way from different corners of the globe, distinguished chairpersons of associations from all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend my regards to all of you. Firstly, I would like to briefly explain you how the idea of organizing this Intercontinental Congress originated from. When I was the Deputy Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, together with the President of TUREP and the members of the Turkish Association, we indeed were willing to organize one of the European Congresses in Turkey. Indeed, we would be hosting this European Congress. However, the European Wind Energy Congresses are assigned to countries in quite an advanced state. Therefore, we never had the opportunity of asking for some candidacy for hosting the events. In the meanwhile, we as the ministry were traveling to Africa. And during the very first visits we had to Africa, there was something that was really upsetting for me. The entire continent of Africa was totally blacked out, as we say in English. In other words, in northern Africa, there is electricity available. Also, when compared to the rest of the other Africa, there was quite good electricity and power in southern Africa, but the rest remained blacked out. So we said that, okay, let's just start something new. And as you know, according to the Turkish culture and tradition, there is the understanding of initiating new things. If you can initiate something new that would serve for the interest and benefits of the entire humanity, that thing that you have initiated will produce some good outcomes for you as long as it persists. And we believe that the gains, when I say the gains, it's mostly the spiritual gains, will just turn back to you, as you would get a share even if you are dead. So we said, okay, let's just start this tradition. And we just dreamed of organizing and hosting an Intercontinental Wind Power Congress. Both the European Wind Energy Association and the Global Wind Energy Council were asked to attend some series of meetings with us, during which we had the chance of deciding to hold the Congress in Istanbul. Actually, we really worked quite hard for that direction. Today, we have the honor and the enthusiasm of holding the very first Intercontinental Wind Power Congress. Although it's for the first time that such a congress is organized, hopefully it will be continuous for the future. Our objective and the main target that we are pursuing with this congress is that we would be able to discuss with various participants from different countries of the globe to discuss and to exchange opinions about the future of wind power. And this, we hope, will be contributing to networking around the globe for a long-desired power, the wind power. We, for a very long time, have never felt that feeling of blacking out, but also we aspired for contributing to the countries of Africa as well. This is a first time, and hopefully from today onwards we will be growing further, so that a much more effective series of congresses will be continued for the future, because I believe that such venues for gatherings, or in other words, such congresses, would trigger enormous opportunities as a way of creating synergy with the participants, which in the long run would be for the benefit of the entire world. What has really paved us the way in that direction is TÜREP, the Turkish Wind Association itself. Therefore, I would like to kindly express our appreciation to the association, mainly the chairperson and the organizing committee of the association. By the way, we shouldn't forget about the sponsors, without whom this event would have been impossible. By the way, I have another hat. I am the chairperson of the Turkish National Committee of GUVEC, and we have sponsored tonight's Turkish Night, during which you will have longer versions of the folk dance show you have just watched. You are all expected to the event that will take place after the ministerial session. Distinguished ministers, ladies and gentlemen, as many of you have rightfully emphasized, Turkey has undertaken significant steps in the wind power. In just a few minutes, we will have the chance of discussing about these developments during the ministerial session. If we have some missing points, of course we do, and I can just observe what we are not able to do. Actually, last night there was an executive dinner during which we have heard quite pleasing things, but in practice it's also a fact that we are facing some issues. Now, they were just telling me about these problems or these issues when I was on the other side of the table, but now I am trying to explain these issues to both sides as much as possible. What I can see is there is a lot of efforts based on goodwill. This is existing not only at the ministry, but also at the Energy Market Regulatory Board. There is a very good dialogue going on among the sector players and with the NGOs. I believe that thanks to this good dialogue, by 2023, the targets that have already been set by the ministry will have been achieved or mostly achieved. As a matter of fact, it is important not just to achieve those targets, but also to update the targets according to the requirements of the time. As the Congress chairman, I would like to express our appreciation to each and every one of you for your attendance. Mr. Minister of Energy and Natural Resources was supposed to be with us, but there was the occasion of attending another meeting with His Excellency Mr. President to an international event, but our minister has a keen interest in what's going on in the wind sector, and also we have Mr. Minister of Science, Technology and Industry with us, my dear friend. I also would like to express our appreciation to him for his attendance. Mr. Minister, the wind technology is quite quickly developing. It's getting cheaper and it's improving, it's developing. I guess the manufacturers will deserve incentives maybe beyond 30%, because doesn't matter what you give, the manufacturers would never just let you down. But I have to say that about the technologies, as a matter of fact, your ministry, in an overall understanding, has been supporting us in the way for the wind power, and we really appreciate your support in that direction. I would like to thank you for attending the meeting, for not leaving us alone on my behalf and on behalf of the organizing committee. I also would like to thank each and every one of the participants for their presence in this Congress. Thank you.
Kıtalar Arası Rüzgar Enerjisi Kongre Başkanı.
Thank you very much, Associated Prof. Murat Mercan, Congress Chairman of IWPC. Now I'd like to invite the President of Energy Market Regulatory Authority, Mustafa Yılmaz, please. Distinguished Minister, distinguished guest ministers, distinguished chairman of the Congress, distinguished chairman of EWEA and Quebec. I first of all would like to extend my deepest regards to each and every one of you. We're now having the Intercontinental Wind Power Congress, and I wish for the success of this Congress for our country and for all the participant countries. Distinguished participants, as you all know, it was in 1998 that Turkey was first introduced to the wind energy. But for a very long period of time, we actually failed to trigger the potential that we have as a country. There actually had been several regulations and some incentives provided, and at the same time a stable market, and now we have an increase in the generation of electricity from the wind power, and therefore gradually we just have a more significant contribution of the wind power. Especially recently there were several investments realized, and we at the same time have wind power plants as well, and Turkey is about to be the brighting star of Europe. And let me just tell you a couple of words about what we have done so far from the very beginning. Now, in 1998, we have just started with 9 megawatts, and then by the end of 2014, is actually have installed capacity of 3,630 megawatts, and it's now over 4,000 megawatts. And until 2007, the wind installed capacity was 20 megawatts. But then in 2005, we have an incentive legislation, and since 2006, we have also started to have the market set the prices. So we now have more investments. In 2007, it was 94,000 megawatts in the world, and it was just 95.5 megawatts of installed capacity in Turkey at that time. Of course, it was just corresponding to 1 per 1,000 of the entire worldwide installed capacity. But now, by the end of 2014, it is 370,000 megawatts all around the world, and it is 3,630 megawatts in our country. It means that in the last 7 years, and although there was a 3-fold increase in the world, but this increase was 24 folds for our country. All these figures, of course, I should say, is just showing that we have reached to the 1% of the global installed capacity. Especially in the last 1 year, we observed that by the end of 2013, it was 2,759 megawatts of installed capacity, and we had a 32% of an increase. So we actually have 870 megawatts more added on this. And within 2014, again, we are the 10th country having the most additional installed capacity. And also looking at the total installed capacity for also Europe, we are ranking the 8th among the Europe. Distinguished guests, of course, this is just a priority that we're just attaching to the wind power, and I also would like to share a couple of more figures with you. First of all, by the end of 2014, it was 69,519 megawatts of the total capacity. This is the total installed capacity for all. So the share of the wind power by now has reached to 5.6%. 8.3%. On the other hand, in the upcoming 5 years, looking at the global projections, the wind installed again capacity will increase by 7 or 8% annually. For Turkey, we have the 2023 target, that's the 20,000 megawatts of installed capacity. Therefore, we actually should have an increase of 20% in average on the annual basis, 25% of an increase in average. So 28% is the average increase in the last 3 years, and considering that this 20,000 megawatts of the target is something that we actually have to push hard together with all the stakeholders in the market. Of course, in setting these goals, we at the same time do consider the present political and economic stability that we have, because we have a good climate, investment climate. There are, of course, recent global developments, and we actually have an increase in the foreign exchange rate, and of course this I believe will not reduce the interest of the foreign investors to our country. On the other hand, this increase in the foreign exchange rate, I should say, will increase the interest on the renewable energy resources, and I believe that this also the incentives that are given are also over US dollar as a currency, and I believe this is the reason why there actually could possibly be more interest in the industry. Actually, looking at up to this year, people who actually were not that much interested in the incentives that we provide over the US dollars, now by actually in the upcoming years, I know that they just started to show more interest to the incentives that we provide over US dollars. Of course, our agency at the same time is just taking all the necessary precautions for the wind power developments in our country. As we all know, the private sector also have very good willing and sincere investors, and from this perspective we have the May 2 process which is relevant to our industry. There's actually a framework given by the legislation. This is especially for those people who do not actually transform their licenses to investment, and unfortunately some of the innocent investors also fell under this category, and we are now just having an extension period of 10 months to make sure that the sincere, good-willing investments actually do not suffer. Therefore, we did not want this syndrome to turn into a suffering, and therefore during this process I personally myself talked to all the investors and including the authorities in my again department, and we have also taken several steps for finding some solutions to the problem. So therefore, for all the investors who are having some problems in this respect, our doors are wide open. Please come and contact us. Especially for the energy investments for Turkey, we're just taking our own share, and I know that the private sector investors at the same time, I believe they also will be doing it in the best way possible at the worldwide standards. We have a huge potential, and to make this possible, I believe it's very important to reduce the risk to the extent possible. At this point where we are, the very first generation wind turbines are being rehabilitated, but our country is right at the very initial phase. And of course, especially looking at and talking to the bankers that are financing the wind power plants, they're saying that especially the costs that are estimated do not match with what actually happened during the implementation of the project. The reason is that there is actually a know-how with regards to wind energy for now, but maybe the feasibility project studies are not that much good. Of course, it is very important to have a return on investment in the shortest extent possible, and it is very important for us to make use of the exchange, the experiences and the know-how of the other investors, and that's why I believe this event will contribute to this. Actually, as in particular EMRA, we have always been an authority that is always in close contact with the stakeholders and reflecting it to its own legislation, at the same time for all international regulations as well, because we're always sharing our own regulation with the other countries as well. This is a sensitivity that we also have towards the private sector as well. By the end of April, by the Turkish Transmission Incorporation, there's a 3,000 megawatts of the capacity that's being given, and we'll get to start the prep licensing process. And there are 1,400 metering stations, and I believe that this is just an indication that there will be actually a tough competition, I guess, and I hope that the fields at the same time will be well measured, and I hope that our authority will just receive some good feasibility projects. Now, truly enough, my address, just one more thing that I would like to highlight. Of course, for the wind power plants, environment is another issue that we should always consider. Especially our people are very sensitive towards the environment, and of course, as EMRA, we also attach a lot of importance to it. We also do agree that the projects should be environment friendly, and during the licensing of any actual power plant and energy generation project, same applies for the wind power plants as well. We're just taking into account of the environmental impact assessment provided, and we analyze them thoroughly. And of course, we also consider the future generations as well, because there is actually an energy demand, an increasing energy demand, and we have to do it for the future generations. Distinguished ministers and distinguished participants, I know that this Congress will be very fruitful thanks to the contribution of all representatives here, because we have representatives from all around the world, and there will be some sharing of know-how and experience all together. And I, at the same time, to all our guests, to the participants and everyone, I hope that you just will spend some nice time. And between 25-27 of May in 2015, we'll have the 6th World Energy Regulation Forum. And of course, Murat Mercan, the chairman of the Congress, and at the same time to the chairman of the TWEA, I would like to thank them all for the organization of this event, and with my best regards. Thank you very much to the President of EMRA, Mustafa Yilmaz. Now, distinguished guests, our Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Taner Yilmaz, is just in another event and abroad, together with His Excellency Mr. President, and Murat Mercan already discussed this, but he said, I just wanted to be with you, and there will be a video conference, and let's just watch it.
Birliği'nin değerli başkanları, Türkiye Rüzgar Enerjisi Birliği'nin
Esteemed President and members of the Turkish Wind Associations, distinguished representatives of wind associations from various parts of the world, esteemed representatives of the wind energy sector. To begin with, I would like to express my disappointment with not being able to take part in today's Intercontinental Wind Power Congress, just organized with the most extensive participation. First of all, I wish this Congress, realized by participation of our friends from various parts of the world, to be a beneficial for the entire sector, while sharing my full confidence that this event would be extremely productive, both from the perspective of Turkey and from the perspective of all the participant countries. I wish success to all the participants. Distinguished participants, sustainable energy is possible through the establishment of sustainable, applicable and appropriate for the long-term energy policies based upon the most efficient and effective use of energy. Wind energy holds a significant share in terms of Turkey's target to benefit from the renewable energy resources of Turkey to the maximum extent. In this regard, wind energy is considered to be a reliable and sustainable type of energy for our country. As of today, installed capacity of wind power has reached 40,000 megawatts instead of 19 megawatts that we used to have 13 years ago. And 15 billion euro was invested into the wind power for the last 13 years. 2014 was the year of wind during which the most wind power was taken into operation. On last year, we added up more than 800 megawatt wind power to our installed capacity. In terms of wind power investments in 2014, Turkey held the 5th position in Europe and 10th in the world. And it makes us particularly happy to see the fruits of the investments. Thanks to the commissioned wind power plants, our natural gas import last year was $850 million less compared to the previous years. The share of wind power in the installed capacity has exceeded 5% for the first time. Today we reached the point that on certain days we cover 10% of electricity generation from wind power. Annual electricity demand of about 4 million households are met from the wind power plants. This is an extremely important figure for us as a country of which 72% depend on energy import. Distinguished guests, wind energy deserves an important place due to being efficient and environmentally clean. Wind farms generate between 17 to 39 times more electricity than they consume themselves. Generating 1 megawatt of electricity from wind turbines instead of fossil fuels would save the world from 1,500 tons of carbon dioxide, 6.5 tons of sulfur dioxide, 3.2 tons of nitrogen oxide, and 25 kilograms of quicksilver. Our target is to reach 20,000 megawatts of wind by 2023, which is important from these perspectives as well. Hopefully we will reach our target together with our private sector and private investors. The political and economic stability Turkey has reached up until today has also drawn the attention of investors to its energy sector. We as the government are supporting the sector by arranging all the necessary internal coordination and will continue to do so. The private sector needs to be able to make its investments through its unique capital structure under the audit and leadership of the state. The liberalization Turkey has realized for the last 13 years and the stability that came along with it shows that Turkey is a safe harbor for investors in this regard. We also know that we will draw much more attention of foreign investors by providing extra incentives in addition to the current ones in case of manufacturing the equipments in Turkey. I also believe that this conference would lead to the establishment of many more new cooperation. With these thoughts and feelings, I would like to once more take to all the participants and would like to greet all of you with respect and affection. And I also would like to thank to the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources for this contribution to the video call, and another minister also at the same time contributes to our program, the Minister of Environment and Urbanization, Idris Yüce. Thank you very much for your nice invitation, but due to my heavy schedule, I may not attend, and with my best wishes to all of you and to our guests, the Minister of Environment and Urbanization, Idris Yüce. Distinguished actually guests, we have the Ministry of Science, Technology and Industry, Fikri Işık. Would you please come to the stage to deliver your opening remarks? Yes, please.
Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyetimizin çok değerli
His Excellency, Distinguished Minister of Environment and Natural Resources of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, His Excellency, Mr. Minister from Jordan, Distinguished Chairman of the Global Wind Energy Council, Distinguished Chairman of the European Wind Energy Association, distinguished colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, sponsors, members of the press and media, I also would like to take this initiative of congratulating all of you with this initiative. I'm extremely honored to be with you in the occasion of the Intercontinental Wind Power Congress, and I do wish for the success of the Congress. Energy remains to be one of the most significant needs and issues of Turkey. Therefore, we consider every event that will have a contribution to that field. Therefore, it's my pleasure to thank our organizers and sponsors for making it possible to have this Congress in Istanbul. Ladies and gentlemen, population, urbanization are the factors that will aggravate the situation for energy and the per capita energy consumption globally, because as we know, this consumption increases swiftly every other day. In another perspective, there is a very strong correlation between development and energy needs. So as to meet the energy demand, countries have decided to diversify the energy resources and to secure the supply of energy. Today, energy supply and security of supply cannot be considered apart from the development level of the countries. Albeit the political instabilities and political clashes, particularly in our region, the reason also has some association with the attempts of controlling the paths for energy distribution. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last 12 years, Turkey, in terms of strengthening her infrastructure for energy, had a very good outperformance. In the last decade, Turkey, among the OECD countries, has become the country that has achieved the fastest growth for energy demand. In 2013, 35.6 thousand megawatts was the installed capacity, but by 2014 we've had almost a double increase, reaching 80,000 megawatts in 2014. Today we are the 17th and 6th largest economy in the world and in Europe respectively. In that success, there is a huge contribution of the industry contribution, and we should not forget the energy sector in that regard that has been contributing to the welfare of our country. However, per capita electricity consumption in Turkey is 3,760, which is quite beyond the European average, which is 6,000 megawatts. Therefore, this has shown us the fact that Turkey has not yet reached saturation in terms of energy consumption. According to the estimates, we are expecting an increase up to 5,000 megawatts by 2020, which would mean that today we are consuming twice as much as energy that we have been consuming 10 years ago. You know that our country has ambitious targets for 2023, when we will be celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Turkish Republic. And in the coming decade, so as to meet our energy demand, we need an annual total $10 billion and in total $120 billion worth of energy investments. We, as the government, have been eager to secure the supply of energy, and we have been intensively working to provide the country with the energy it needs. Basically, we can say that the strategies and the policies we are following in the field of energy is mostly based on using alternative energy resources, diversifying resources, using indigenous resources for our economy, sustainability, and liberalization in energy markets and energy efficiency on top of the security of energy supply. Ladies and gentlemen, we as a country, within the framework of sustainable development targets, aim at using the existing energy resources in an efficient and environmental friendly way. Actually, energy is one of the main inputs of development. Therefore, by attributing the necessary level of significance to renewable energy resources, we will be acting responsibly for the energy resources and will at the same time be securing energy. Ladies and gentlemen, our country is not rich in terms of fossil fuels resources. By 48.11%, natural gas ranks the first for our energy consumption, followed by coal by a 50% share. Hydraulic energy has a share of 16.14%, and the share of wind energy is around roughly 5%. Geothermal has not yet reached 1%. Therefore, we are internationally dependent in the supply of energy by more than 80%, and the price to pay for energy is $55 billion in 2014. Energy imports actually is the key item in terms of the national deficits in Turkey. If Turkey were self-sufficient, last year we would have had a current surplus of $9 billion instead of a current deficit in the budget. Therefore, we are impelled to diversify the resources and to make use of renewable energy resources, including solar and wind mostly. As a country, Turkey has been aware of the fact that renewable energy is quite vital for her economy. So by 2023, we aim at least to have 23% of the renewables in our general mix of energy. Today, we will be speaking about wind power from the perspective of installment and operating costs and other advantages as to the availability of the renewable energy resources. As a result of the developments in the wind energy technologies, cost of the energy generation by using wind is rapidly declining. A modern wind turbine is 180-fold more efficient in energy generation, with the half of the cost that is spent today. Wind-based energy, when compared to the natural gas and coal-based energy, we have competitive prices in terms of the prices that are paid for generation. By the wind power, total installed capacity has increased by 188 folds between the years 2005 and 13. By 2023, the total installed capacity of our country is expected to reach 20,000 megawatts. And in line with this objective, there are 8 years ahead. Therefore, we need 16,238 installed capacity, which would mean that at least there will be 5,400 energy wind turbines needed in Turkey. The unlicensed small power plants included, up to 1 megawatt, I believe the amount of the power plants would be increasing. Under the light of all of these, in the coming 8 years, there will be a wind power market in Turkey that will be amounting to $8.5 billion. Following the commissioning of the power plants and the turbines, I believe that the volume and efficiency of the market will also have increased. Considering the 48,000 megawatt wind power capacity of Turkey, following 2015, I believe there will be a big potential in Turkey, both in terms of the market and the availability of resources. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our objectives is to reduce our foreign dependency by increasing the indigenous content. In terms of local content, there is one point I have to highlight. In 2003, there was a law enacted that basically provides no distinction between local and international manufacturers in Turkey. For us, all the companies manufacturing in Turkey are Turkish companies, both by law and as an understanding. Therefore, doesn't matter from which origin the company is, if there is some investment in Turkey, we accept the company as a local company and make available all the subsidies and supports to that particular company. The renewable energy resources and the purchasing guarantee of the electricity produced by renewable energy resources will be paid 13 cents per kilowatt. In addition to that, the mechanical or electromechanical equipment used for the manufacturing of the power plant, if manufactured locally, then there will be for 5 years after the commissioning, some additional prices to be paid to the producers of electricity. This applies to unlicensed wind turbines up to 1 megawatt. Thanks to these incentives, the feasibility works of the wind turbines and wind power plants using local content would be facilitated. Therefore, in October 2014 in Bandırma, there was a big commissioning of the turbines in Turkey. Here, local and international, all the plant manufacturers are encouraged to invest in Turkey. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, Turkey has a very strong potential and we have a very strong internal market volume. At the same time, the regional position, high quality nature of the human power and the know-how all make it possible for Turkey to be a hub in the region. As the government, we have been supporting the investors by providing incentives and at the same time by providing some additional support in energy purchases we are making. In this regard, the companies who are making a global and regional production are encouraged to invest in Turkey. We are always inviting those investors into Turkey. Once again, I would like to call out to the fact that we would be encouraging investors in Turkey. Therefore, once again, I would also encourage them to take a second look into the subsidies and supports that the Turkish government is extending to investors. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the growing market, incentive mechanisms we are extending to local and international investors, I have to say that we have a favorable climate in Turkey for investment. The R&D activities that also will be conducted in Turkey will be extended almost $1.5 billion cash budget. R&D innovation and industrial practices will be also supported by the government, which will have been increased by 50% by 2015. The Turkish Science Council of Turkey also has increased the number of applications for wind energy. I have to say that almost 8.5 folds of an increase have been achieved in the number of projects supported as such. TÜBİTAK Marmara Science Project Center has 2 projects I have to highlight. The first one is the system for developing national energy systems and producing prototypes, mostly for developing the wind energy turbines. Here, the local content is to be achieved up to 90% to pave the way for local content. In the first phase of the project, 500 megawatt prototype project have been accomplished and completed. According to the second phase, 2.5 megawatt of a turbine prototype will be developed. And another project will be about creating an observation and also a forecast system for the electricity generated by wind power in Turkey. I believe that the project will be contributing to the large-scale integration of the wind turbines into the Turkish grid. Therefore, we are aiming at extending the system throughout Turkey. Within the framework of the project, at the first stage, 14 plants, and the second stage, another 14 plants have been connected to the system. Also, improving the forecast and the observation systems have been completed in software. Ladies and gentlemen, the business and investment climate in a particular country cannot be assessed only based on the economic indicators. Level of democracy and the law standards are at least important as economy. Even if you have the strongest economy in the world, unless you establish the rule of law and democracy, you cannot provide a favorable environment for investment. Turkey, as you know, has been taking reforms in terms of human rights and freedoms, and there have been many regulations enforced in finding a solution to many chronic problems of the country. Therefore, this also has to be respected. Therefore, from from this rostrum. Once again, I would like to call out to all national and international investors that as a country, we are willing to support our investors for facilitating their procedures in all ways possible. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that no one that have ever invested in Turkey has ever lost money. Those who have invested in Turkey, albeit the storms, have won at the end of the day. But those who have always declined to make an investment in Turkey have lost money. Both R&D and production investments are welcoming the investors' incentives, which are growing every other day. Therefore, people who are investing into Turkey will be winning out of these incentives. With all these observations, once again, I would like to encourage local and international investors to invest in Turkey. Concluding my remarks, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the Congress, I hope, will be opening up new horizons for wind power, and I hope that the Congress will be fruitful in building up new cooperations and relationships in the field of wind power. Once again, I would like to thank the organizers, having spent efforts in the organization of this event, including the sponsors for their contribution, and I would like to extend my deepest regards to each and every one of you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, Mr. Minister of Science, Technology and Industry, please stay on stage, Mr. Minister, just for another few minutes, if you can just move to the signed post. Now, I would like to invite the chairman of the Congress, who will be presenting a token of appreciation to Mr. Minister.
Evet, Bilim, Sanayi ve Teknoloji Bakanı Sayın Fikri Işık'ın Kongre Başkanı Doçent Doktor Sayın Murat Mercan takdim ettiler. Şimdi Bakanımız
Now, Mr. Minister Fikri Işık and the President of TÜREB, you're also welcome to the stage, together with Congress Chairman Mr. Murat Mercan.
Evet, şimdi de Bakanımız
Now, Mr. Minister presenting a plaque to Mr. Murat Mercan, and in the meanwhile we have photographs taken. And please stay on stage, sir. Now I would like to invite Mr. Markus Takey. Can you please just join us on stage, please?
ve aynı şekilde
And similarly, I would like to invite the chairman of the Global Wind Energy Council, Dr. Rave.
Ve EPDK Başkanı
I also would like to invite Mr. Mustafa Yilmaz, the chairman of the Energy Regulatory Board. Mr. Minister, already presenting the plaques. Mr. Mustafa Yilmaz has joined us as well on stage. And we'll have a family photo taken. I also would like to invite our guests on the protocol. Without losing time, I would like to invite our guests on the protocol so that we'll have a family photo taken.
Evet, Sayın Bakanlara, tüm konuşmacılara ve katılımcılara teşekkür ediyoruz.
We thank all the participants of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, now Mr. Minister Fikri Işık and our guest ministers will have the official opening. I would like to invite all the guests